Hello, everyone. My name is Dominika Nowak-Papiszewska, and today, within cooperation with Poradnia Internetowa.pl, we have prepared a subject for you with the title, The Feedback That May Transform. So feedback is a commonly known word in a business world, in a business environment, but today, I strongly encourage you to think about the feedback as a personal development tool. So I will talk about the feedback from a completely different perspective, I suppose, and I hope you will find this perspective as interesting for you. But before I go to the details to the agenda, let me please introduce myself in a few words. So first of all, my passion, which is people. And that's why by education, I'm a psychologist. I'm also connected with the business for almost actually 15 years, especially in, I work in people management. Since 2019, I work on my own. So I still support the business and the companies. For example, a meeting like this one is a result of such a cooperation. But I also work with individual clients, so not only the companies. And recently, especially recently, I strongly use coaching methodology, coaching techniques, as I believe they are very, very useful for personal development. So that's why I'm a certified ICF coach and also life coach. Okay, so this is a few words about me. Let's see what we have in the agenda. So first of all, I will talk about experience of feedback. So I will try to answer the questions. Do you like a feedback as a people? Of course, I will just mention about 3 types of feedback, but the main part I will focus on the transformative feedback because this is a subject for today. And I will show you 3 main sources how to obtain such kind of feedback in order to change something in our life. So I hope you will enjoy it. And what is very important, during my presentation, I will have some exercises for you. So I strongly recommend that you pause video or stop video and answer some questions. You can also take some notes. Of course, you can do it later, but as you know, sometimes later never comes. So here you have a great opportunity to have this moment for reflection. So I strongly encourage you to do these exercises that are not so difficult. All right. So do we like a feedback as a people? Unfortunately, we mostly think about the feedback as the negative experience. And actually, there are reasons for that. So first of all, it's the first reason is connected with the evaluation. The second one is the fact that the feedback is not done in the right way. And the third is pretty much connected with our own interpretation of situations. So let's say a few words about each of these. So first of all, evaluation. So as a people, we don't like, we hate to be judged, to be evaluated. And I can share with you that many people sometimes they don't feel comfortable when the other people even recognize their achievements. So people rather think uncomfortable, rather feel uncomfortable when they have a situation to be judged. What is also important is the fact that usually we receive the feedback in the situation that we need to correct something. So there are certain circumstances that maybe we did some kind of mistake, and usually in that moment we receive the feedback. So so first of all, we are judged, and the second, it's usually connected with some mistake, something that we need to correct. So here is the first reason why we don't like so much the feedback. The second reason is the fact that I would say the art of giving feedback is still a big challenge in the companies, and also I would say in our home when we talk with our relatives, because usually when we give a feedback, it's connected with a kind of criticism. So something we are sharing information that we don't like about somebody. The second issue is the fact that the feedback we are receiving or we are giving is a kind of, I would say, a wishy-washy, which means it's not clear. So sometimes in the companies, employees are sharing information that in fact they don't know if the boss is happy with their work or is not happy with the work, and actually what's the matter, right? So in the end, we as a receiver, we don't have a clear conclusion actually what is to be changed and how to change, because if we knew that, we would probably we would change. So in a traditional way, this feedback in many cases has no real value as it could actually. And the third reason is connected with the way how we think about our experiences in our lives. So I would say that we as a people, we don't have too much reflection on some experience that we have, and that's why we don't learn as we could. So in fact, actually we lose opportunity to learn. And let's see what are the research findings. So first of all, majority of the employees, so 85% of staff, is not satisfied with the quality of feedback from managers. And this is actually nothing surprising when you add the second findings, that the majority of leaders, so 70%, don't feel comfortable when they communicate with employees. And please look on this chart. These are actually findings from Harvard Business Review. And although they are Americans researchers, they are actually very much tuned with what I observed working with the companies. So I actually look at this item. So even managers are supposed to recognize employee achievements, still it's a kind of thing that they don't feel comfortable to communicate about it, right? So since leaders or managers who mostly give the feedback are not comfortable with these, it's nothing surprising that the people who are receiving this are also not happy with the quality of feedback. But they're not only not happy about the quality of feedback, but also in terms of quantity. So it means that 75% of employees expect more feedback, more situations that they receive information about themselves. What is actually very interesting, at least to me, look at this number. So 81% of employees would prefer benefit, open communication, if it was such like, over the gym or meal tickets. So what is the conclusion actually? So first of all, people need information about themselves. And I would say this is something very natural, because think about the moment like you were a kid, or if you have kids, you can observe that, right? Well, kids are very interested in information about themselves. So they are just saying a few words like these: Mom, look at me. Dad, look at me. Or Mom, just look how I did. So this is something natural. We almost from the beginning, we are interested in receiving information about ourselves. It's not only fulfilling the need of recognition, it's also a need to receive some information how the environment perceive our performance. So this is something natural, and that's why you have in this researchers information that employees, although the quality of feedback might not be so great, they still would like to receive more information about themselves. So it's absolutely worth to put an effort and create a better feedback culture, let's say like that. And it's not only the feedback culture in the company, of course, it's a basic, but I would say that the feedback culture is also very much important in our house, in our communication with kids, with spouses, parents, and stuff like that. But What research also shows, telling people what we think about their performance actually doesn't help to excel them. It actually blocks the learning. So I will explore that further, what it means. And we have, I would say, three main types of feedback. So first of all, we have a feedback called deconstructive, let's say. So what is that? I think at least one time in our life we have the chance to receive such kind of feedback, or maybe even to give such one. So it's something very demotivating. So it actually doesn't have any value. So we just feel bad when we receive such kind of feedback. Not only we don't learn anything, but we additionally feel very bad, demotivated, and anxious about this situation. The second feedback, which is a bit better than the previous one, it's called constructive one. This is something probably most commonly known. And this is a kind of feedback that after receiving, we have a chance to understand a certain aspect better, which means that we might have a motivation not to repeat certain behavior. So for example, in the business environment, someone says, you should put more data to your report because it will be more valuable, right? So when we receive such information, we know, when we put more data, then the report will be better one. So we have a motivation to change something, right? It's a kind of value, of course, from such a kind of feedback. But should we say that we learn much about it? That's a question. So the third, very important, actually the most important, I would say, the feedback is something that I would call the transformative one. And it's very simple because the result of this feedback is just to activate a real change in our life. So let me please just to leave these two kind of feedbacks, because the constructive, I think there is not so much to talk about it. The constructive is, I would say, probably known by you, but I would like to be focused on the third one, so transformative. So let's explore this subject. Just to answer the question, what is the nature, what is the essence of transformating feedback? So simply saying, it is something that provokes a real change and activates a different perspective and different way of acting. And sometimes it's good to see, I like this word very much, because this feedback is connected with something like aha moment. But this is not a moment like aha, this is aha, which means that it's very much connected with illumination, that something happened in us, that we discover something, that we just got new insights about something. And that's why it is possible that it provokes a real change. Let's go to the details. Comparing to two types of feedback, let's call the first one a traditional one. So this is very much similar. This is similar to the situation in the school when we say to someone, you should do like that. You should improve these, and so on, so on. So it's very, very similar to the situation in the school. And this is something that as the result, we can only correct some actions. This is what I said before. So we have a certain motivation, either not to repeat certain behavior, either to introduce or start certain behavior. So I would say it's rather connected with cleaning. So we did something, somebody says it could be better, so we clean some kind of mistakes and correct. And in fact, what is the most important? There is no internal motivation to change. That's why a few slides before I said that the research shows that when we tell someone what to do, it's not actually so much helpful in terms of helping to grow or learn something. So as the opposite, the feedback that may transform has the following characteristics. So first of all, it's usually, it has to be actually connected with some new sites, this aha. we notice something very important. It's usually connected, and this is a crucial part, with the decision to act in a different way. And because we had some discovery, we had some new insights, it's deeply connected with the internal decision, not because someone said to do like that. It's our will to do in a certain way, to start behaving certain way, or to stop behaving certain way. And this decision is very much connected with our true internal desires. I'm talking still about this internal motivation. And what is actually very interesting is also the fact that this is connected with motivation, although sometimes we really don't know how to do that. So it's a situation like that, that we discover something and we know that never, ever, I don't want to repeat that anymore. So in this situation, I made a decision. I will never, ever repeat certain situation. And in that moment, I might have completely no idea how to achieve that. I have actually no idea. I don't know how to do that, but I know that I will do my best to do that. So not to repeat, for example, a certain behavior. So as you can see, the feedback that the transformative one has completely different nature than the traditional feedback that you can see on this site. What are the three sources to obtain transformating feedback? So first are the people, your habit very much connected with learning, and the third connected with some stories in your life. And let's just introduce a few words and then we go into the details. So regarding other people, I would say not everyone would give you a feedback that may transform. Why? Because there are certain set of characteristics that people should have in order to give a feedback that we are talking about. So it's I would say, specific profile of the person that can give such a kind of feedback. The second important fact is connected with the initiative, because notice that usually when we receive the feedback, not because we want to, but because some other people want to give us feedback. Of course, sometimes, for example, in business environment or even in house, we are just asking, what do you think about it? But when we talk about the feedback, it's usually connected with the initiative that is located at somebody else. And when we talk about the transformating feedback, it's important that it comes from our initiative. I will show you that later. When we talk about the second source connected with the habit, this is especially about the habit connected with the approach to the failure. Very interesting subject. And the third source is connected with the way how we as a people understand some stories that are happening during our life. So I would like to soon present you some details about these three sources, because these are actually the main way to obtain a good transformating feedback. So, three characteristic of the person who is a perfect feedback giver. So first is good intention. Second is the approach to the mistakes, and some characteristics like being honest and respectful. So what is actually good intention? This is a person who doesn't need to point out some issues, for example. This is a person who is really ready and guided you to grow. This is not someone who will tell you, oh, you should do this, you should like that. It is good when this person really believes in people greatness. And what is also very important, this person doesn't create himself or herself as an expert of your life. So it is a person who is able to give you some new perspective, but still doesn't need to be recognized as the expert, because the expert, there's only one expert of your life, and this is you. So this person really understands that. The second very important characteristic connected with the approach also to mistake is being a good observer and good listener. So this is not someone who needs to talk and know the best, but really is able to hear what you are saying and really is able to deeply observe you and the life. And understands mistakes as a really important as stepping stone for growth. So this is not someone who is digging into mistake. Oh, you should do like that. It's very bad that you do. No, understand a kind of failures as a very important step for growth. And this is also someone who respects your integrity and doesn't need to judge you. This is a person basically who is guided by a pure intention to help you grow. So I would say this is a profile of a person who is perfect to give you a feedback, and even of course the feedback that may transform something. So now is a question to you. So a first stop so I encourage you to pause the video and stop and think, who is actually the person that you know that could give you a meaningful feedback? So stop for a moment and think about people in your life. And it's perfect. It would be perfect if you just could list some names. If it's one, that's fine. If it's 3 or 5, even better. So who is the person that could give you a really meaningful feedback? Please pause the video and think about it. So I hope that you have at least one name on your list. And you probably remember when I said a few minutes ago that it's very important that the transformating feedback is it's actually done on your initiative. So basically it means that having the person that we believe is a good feedback giver, we just ask for feedback. And this is actually very simple, because we need in fact 3 parts if we want to ask for this feedback. It is a reason for asking why this person, and actually to share what aspects we are interested in. And I will give you example how it could be. It could be in the following way. So for example, dear John, I'm pretty much focused on my growth now, and since I want to reach a better version of myself, I would like to ask you for a favor. So would you like to give me a feedback about me? So I very trust your opinion, and I would highly respect your view. So what do you think about, and here we can say, so for example, what do you think about the way I communicate? What do you think about our relationship? What do you think about me as a person in general? So here you can actually put all, so you can select the aspect that you are interested in. I would rather recommend to start with this formula with indicating these aspects, because it might be a tough for a person when you ask, what do you think about me? It's still possible, but you might receive a much more detailed new view if you defined what aspects do you really need to explore. So basically what I want at this moment to encourage you is just to think about these people, list these people, and just go to these people and ask about the feedback. And so basically the steps would be the following. Would be perfect if you could choose 3 people, different one of course, and ask using the formula, for example, they show you, of course, if this resonates with you, because you might have a completely different point of view on this formula. I'm just giving you some tip how would be the simple step to do that. Define aspects what are important for you to get some information. Just ask for feedback, and the most important fact, having this feedback, because of course we are not asking just for asking, right? So the most important fact is just to see and think what you can learn from this feedback, what it may change in your life. So this is something obviously that that is to be done after this video. You can start immediately. You can just divide this task and try to do later in 1 month, in 2 months. But what is very important, just take this habit of seeking for feedback. So have own internal initiative to look for information. You don't need to wait for feedback given in a certain circumstances or in circumstances of the mistake. For example, you don't have to wait when somebody evaluate your report that you are doing. You can ask your boss before. So look, I'm just preparing report for you since 1 year. So I would like to know what you think about it. What do you think I could improve? What is your opinion about it, right? So this is your initiative. And you can see that if the person is giving you feedback, this person is apart from circumstances, is just seeing you as a giving report as a person who is doing this such a performance, not exactly connected with the certain situation, which is actually very important, and that's why it could be much more meaningful, right? Then we are going, so we just covered the first source to obtain transformative feedback, which is other people. And now we are going to the second source, which is your habit, connected how you connected to the stuff, how you approach the failures. So usually we think about situations that don't work as the negative experience, and we don't reflect on them too much. So for example, if we have a certain goal to achieve and we are trying to do something and we have a failure, a second time we have a failure, third time we have a failure. So it's very typical that at this moment we just stop and we understand these failures as information saying something like that. You are not able, you can't, so stop and give up. And many times we just give up. While the fact is that it's a still source of information. You will see that. So we don't learn too much from failures. We rather have a tendency to think about failures that is combined with certain low energy. So of course we are disappointed. We are disappointed when we don't achieve something. But when we stay in this low energy, of course, how we should have a new motivation to change something. So the main point here is just not to go with the flow of low energy and feeling disappointed, but just to learn from this situation. And the perfect example is the guy that you can see here. This is a Thomas Edison. So this is the guy who invented a bulb, electricity branch. And Thomas Edison was interviewed one time by a journalist, and the journalist asked Thomas Edison, so how many times have you failed before you invented the bulb? And look what Thomas Edison said. He said, I've never failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that just won't work. And for me, it's a perfect example how we should approach a failure. Imagine situation 10,000 times to receive information, no, the bulb still doesn't work. So imagine what would happen if Thomas Edison say, oh, I can't, it's not possible, I'm just leaving that, right? This is actually the power of information from failure. And not only Thomas Edison, because you can see here in this example, for example, the Kelly Rowling that just wrote Harry Potter, he was denied many times before she achieved some outcome. Walt Disney, when he wanted to build the Disneyland, so the park, he was denied 300 times. So of course, these are only few examples. There are plenty in the world, and there are plenty in our lives. So what I want to encourage you is just to treat a failure as a great feedback. Failure is a great source of information. So it's not only information about new insights that you might have, that you might learn, but this is something that can just provide you to achieve outcome that you want to. And we don't talk about the outcome like building Disneyland, right? We have thousands of outcomes. We might want to be a better father, mother, employee. We might want to lose weight. We might want to be more punctual. Thousands of outcomes we might obtain in our life if we just keep going. So we don't stop on this information from failure. You can't. So this is very much connected with the approach to the failure, especially to see a failure as a situation to learn. So the question to you, I would highly encourage you to recall some situation that doesn't work in your life or didn't work in your life in the past, and something that you call as failure in your life. And if you could just think about the situation completely in a different way, not as a failure, just don't put this label like that, but think about it. If it was a learning lesson, what happened to me? If it was a learning lesson, what I could learn from this situation? What is maybe new insight that I might have if I look on this situation as a learning lesson, not as a failure? Please pause the video or stop and think about it a bit. Right, and we are going to the third source of receiving and obtaining a transformating feedback. And this is something that I called as a perception of our life. Perception of our life. So if you could imagine our life as a road, so this is lifetime span, and probably you heard some stories about the people who just face a difficult situation and then after they completely reinvented their lives. So for example, someone was fired from the company that used to work for 20 years or 15 years, and then after just change completely idea on life and started to bake a bread or something different, right? So let's say the strong moment that seems to be a negative one are let's say change into something completely transformative. And of course it's good that people don't stuck on these negative events and try to build something new based on that. So it's better to do like that, comparing to not to do nothing. But it means that we have a chance in our life to transform, to change something from failure to failure or strong emotional even. Of course, I'm not even talking about some drama situation when people have really big drama, and then after they rather change, for example, even the value that they are guided in life. So of course it's kind of natural, but I want to tell you that really you don't need to wait. You don't need to wait to have a failure, or you don't need to wait to face a big drama in your life, but actually you can do some transformation much more earlier. And here I want to show you how to do that. So again, we have the road as a life, as a metaphor. And what could be the nice stop that can give you, let's say, more or less similar effects? So first of all, is just looking on results in our life. You know how it is said? It is said that results never lie. So you might have reflection, for example, like that. What are results in my life up to now? Am I happy with these results? You might also focus on certain area. For example, what are the results in area of health and well-being in my life? What are the results? For example, I don't exercise, I'm a kind of fat, I just have a problem with cardiovascular issues and stuff like that, or I have a lot of headache and so on. And then based on that, you can think actually what these results are saying to you. What does it mean? Maybe it means to do some action and change something. So basically here, we are looking on the results that we currently have, not waiting for a certain big event in our life that is emotionally tough. We look what we have up to now, and we look if we are happy with them. And the second issue, kind of important, is to remember that winning in our life comes in a different ways, because sometimes when people think about their results, they think in a very I would say a narrow way. So for example, they used to say, I'm not married yet, I haven't built a house, I don't have a big savings, so actually what have I done in my life? I have a pretty crap result. It's nothing interesting, which is wrong, because of course it's a kind of this is what society says, that people should be, let's say, married at certain age, and they should maybe have some, I don't know, build a house or buy a car and stuff like that. But winnings in our life has a completely different nature. So maybe you don't have these three things that I mentioned before, but still maybe you have a great health, which is kind of really pretty good result. Maybe you have a great family that you can count on support from them, which is a great value. Maybe you have a values, your ethic, that I still think is a great value in your life. So first of all, remember that when you think about the results, think also that wins have a different nature. It doesn't have to be what society says about what is winning, what is success in our life. The third stop, I said before that the failure is a great source of information, but not only, because what we forget, commonly we forget, it's just a moment of reflection when we rock at something. So when you have a great success, so you are rocking with something, it's very good to stop and for a moment not only get a sense of feeling that I'm rocking, I'm excelling with something. It's also just to stop and think what is actually behind the situation that I could have a success, and what does it say to me. So for example, you might be perfect in cooperation with people. So whenever you have a chance to cooperate with people, to gather them and to lead them to something, you rock. You are always successful. So being a superstar in this situation, what does it say to you? Maybe it says that you have a certain strength, you have a certain strong skills in certain area, and maybe it's a great potential that you can develop further. So it's connected with this next step, which is looking for patterns that work for you. So if you rock at something, just think, if you rock 3 times in your life, what is behind this? Maybe it's a certain pattern and it's a kind of great source of information for you, that it's a great potential. Or maybe it says that this is your perfect, could be your career path. And maybe you are doing something on opposite side, right? So results, remembering that winning comes in different ways, but also just to stop and get sense of feeling when we are a superstar with something. Okay, and the next question to you. So I highly encourage you to take a look for a moment and think about the results in certain domain in your life, whatever it's important for you, or you might choose the financial aspects, or relationship, or family life, or friendship, health, as I mentioned before, whatever you think it's okay, or you can just think about the life in general and what your results are saying to you. Again, please pause the video or stop video and think about it. All right, so it's time to summarize our subject. So first of all, I would like you to remember that when you want to receive a meaningful feedback, so meaningful meaning that change something, that may transform something in your life, when you want to receive or give, remember about this characteristic of a good giver profile. Maybe it's not possible to find in your community the person who has all characteristics that I mentioned before, but at least some part of it would be very helpful. So when you are giving some feedback to someone, and if you want to really someone to learn, just go beyond the level of being advisor. And being advisor means this is this example with the report, right? You are just pointing out, I think your report should be more data, it's maybe too long, or written in a certain way. So you are advisor and you're pointing exactly what the person should do. This person probably will take these notes and just don't repeat some issue if it's able not to repeat. But the question, if this person has a chance to learn something, I think this person might learn something more when you completely convert this situation and put the question like that. Okay, I have some opinion, but my first question is, what do you think about the report that you are preparing? And this person can say, oh, maybe it should be more data, for example, right? So it's internal motivation, it's internal insights, and it's actually much more probable that this person will change something on this person initiative. And what did you learn from this situation is also a good question. These are actually questions that I put to you before. So these are let's say the essence of the meaningful feedback. The second issue is I highly encourage you to be a feedback seeker. And this is actually very important stepping stone to create this feedback culture that I mentioned at the beginning in the companies and in our house. So try to think about the feedback as a learning opportunity. So when sometimes even sometimes somebody gives you a deconstructive feedback, right? And you start to feel very bad, or maybe even upset that someone is saying to you about your behavior. If possible, just try to hold on your emotions and put the question. So what do you want me to change, in fact? So what do you want me to learn from this situation? Or if you don't put the questions, just try to have own reflection. What is behind these words that maybe are not very nice to me, but what is behind what this person wants to tell me? So think about, not only seek this feedback, but think about as a learning lessons. I would also say that it's worth to take care of a feedback from the people we trust. Sometimes we have a people that we don't trust completely, and when they are saying to us our words and we completely can't find what we should learn about it, just maybe you don't have to worry about that, right? Maybe this person is not really ready to help you grow, but just wants to be expert of your life, or just want to point out some mistakes. Sometimes it's not worth to worry about this kind of feedback. And the third thing, I would like you to remember that feedback also is about the perception, a proper perception. So it's perception connected with the let's go from the last one. Perception of failures as a great source of information, and a habit to learn from failures. It's also a perception not only to learn from failures, but also from from our gains. So when we rocket something, just stop and think, what is behind the fact that I'm rocket something? And also a perception connected with the feedback that our life give us actually every day. So maybe it's sometimes a good moment to stop, pause, and see what are results in my life. And the last thing is perception connected with actually, it's I would say a top of the iceberg. So it's a perception that, remember that when you are giving someone a feedback, it's not exactly how the things might be. It's just your view that might be very helpful. And also on the other side, when you receive the feedback, remember that this person is trying to give you a point of view. And this exactly person point of view might be very meaningful, but might be still not how the things are. So you are the expert of your life. So make a best usage of this view that you can obtain from the other people. So at one of the very nice quote from Ken Blanchard, feedback is the breakfast of champions, just to finish. Breakfast, something that is usual and everyday. So it's like being a feedback seeker as a natural habit. And breakfast is also something, food that we need. And third is something that can nourish us, right? So we can grow. And champion is not only like a Walt Disney or Thomas Edison. So each of us is a champion. Each of us is a champion, will be a better champion if we obtain and achieve a better version of ourselves. So feedback is the breakfast of champions. Remember that, please. And when you eat such a kind of breakfast, I can guarantee you that for sure you will achieve a next level of transformation. All right, so I wish you, because we are going to finish, I wish you to be a feedback seeker. I wish you to learn as much as you can from your stories in your life, from other people, because here is one of the way that you can be a great champion, and I absolutely believe you can be. So fingers crossed for you to be a champion. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have a situation that you want to explore, you as a champion or you as a feedback giver, seeker, or giver, receiver, I encourage you to contact poradnia internetowa.pl, and thank you. Have a good day.